Hi guys, I am Hannah Susan Thomas. So today we are going to discuss biology questions that have been asked in 2025 board exam, 10th board exam. So I have taken two sets of science question paper and I have derived some of the biology questions from there, and today we are going to discuss about that. So before we start our discussion, let's go through the syllabus. Okay, so basically there are 5 chapters in your biology syllabus that comes under 2 units. So unit 1 is world of living. Under world of living there are 4 chapters. Chapter 5, life processes. Chapter 6, control and coordination. Chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce. Chapter 8, heredity. So these 4 chapters comes under the unit world of living. And there is one more chapter called our environment that comes under the unit called natural resources. So all these chapters are in your syllabus, and all these chapters comprises of 30 marks in your board exam. So all these chapters are equally important. You have to study thoroughly. Okay, and let's begin our discussion. So the question papers I have taken today is code number first and second, 1 and 2. Okay, and those questions from these two codes we are going to discuss today. So, in the first set of science question paper or code 1 question paper, biology questions start with the question number 8. And as we know that there are 5 types of questions that can be asked in your science exam, comprising of marks 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And the first few questions, if you have go through the previous year question papers earlier, you will be understanding that first few questions comprises of multiple choice questions, where a question will be given. Under there you can see some options, 4 options. You have to select the correct answer from that particular option. That's basically MCQs. Second type of 1 mark question is assertion and reason based. So when we look into that particular type of 1 mark question, I'll be explaining you how you can tackle those types of questions. So first, let's go through MCQs that are given in set 1 of your science question paper. So the 8th question is secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. So here, whenever you read a particular question that is given in your question paper, you have to first understand from where this question has come from. So as you have seen in this particular PPT, I have written the chapter from where this particular question has been asked. Chapter 5, life processes. From this chapter, you can see that this portion is there. And under this, you can see a screenshot that I have inserted here. So I have taken a screenshot related to this question that you can find from this chapter itself. So let's go through this highlighted statement that is given in your chapter, life processes. So the saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down starch, which is a complex molecule to give simple sugar. So from this statement, you will be understanding that, okay, saliva has got an enzyme called salivary amylase. With the help of salivary amylase present in saliva, it helps in the breaking down of starch into simple sugars. So breaking down of starch into simple sugars can only happen with the help of salivary amylase that are present in saliva. That's the whole point that is given here in your textbook. You can understand from the statement that with the help of salivary amylase that are present in our saliva, starch can be easily converted into simple sugars. Okay. In this question, what is given here? Secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. So you can see that from your textbook, okay, you are understanding that with the help of saliva, because saliva has got an enzyme called salivary amylase, with the help of saliva, starch can be converted into simple sugars. Right? You have got that idea from your reader itself, from your textbook itself. So if you understand this conceptual clarity, you'll be easily tackling this question right now. So if there is less saliva in our mouth, what will happen to us? Sugars or sorry, starch cannot be converted into simple sugars, right? So our answer will be option C, starch into simple sugars. And here I have inserted the answer key of official answer sheet of official answer. Hi guys, I am Hannah Susan Thomas. Today we are going to discuss biology questions that have been asked in 2025 10th board exam. Okay, so without any delay, we can start our discussion. So before we go through the discussion, just go through the syllabus that you have in. Hello guys, I am Hannah Susan Thomas. So today we are going to discuss the biology questions that have been asked in your 2025 10th board exam. And here I have taken two sets of science question papers in 2025, and from those sets we can discuss the biology questions that have been asked there. So without any delay, we can go through discussions. So before we move on to discussion, just go through the syllabus, right? So basically you have 5 chapters. Okay, there are 5 chapters in your biology syllabus, and these 5 chapters are divided into 2 units, right? So first unit is called world of living. Under the first unit you have got 4 chapters. Chapter 5, life processes. Chapter 6, control and coordination. Chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce. Chapter 8, heredity. So these 4 chapters come under this unit, world of living. And there comes the second unit called natural resources. Under this unit, you can see the chapter Our Environment, chapter 13 from your textbook. So these 5 chapters are there in your biology syllabus. If you are preparing for CBSE 10th board exam, these 5 chapters are equally important. Okay, so let's start with the first set of questions. Okay, so this you can see here, it's code 3111. That is the first set of science question paper. So from this first set, we can go through the biology questions that have been asked here. So our biology start from question number 8. So we know that there are 5 types of questions that can be asked in your CBSE 10th board exam. There are 1 mark questions, 2 mark, 3 mark, 4 and 5 marks question. And under 1 mark question, you can see multiple choice questions and also some assertion and reason questions. So let's first go through this MCQs. Okay, then we can move on to assertion and reason question. There, I will be giving you some shortcuts or some easy ways for you to tackle assertion and reason questions. So, when you look into this particular slide, you can see that I have inserted the question. You can see here, I have inserted the question along with the question number. Under the question, you can see the answer that I have collected from the official answer key of your CBSE board that the board has given us. And in the right hand side, you can see the chapter name and number from where this question has been taken. And under that, you can see a screenshot where some lines are highlighted, and this particular highlighted portion lets you to know that reading from the textbook is important, because you can easily tackle direct question from the textbook. You can easily tackle conceptual question, diagram question, any type of question you say you can answer if you thoroughly read and revise from your textbook or reader. Okay, so this eighth question has taken from chapter 5, life processes. So let's go through the question first. Secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. Okay, this is the question. So first understand the pattern of this question. Secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of what? Okay, so before we answer this, so I have given you the answer already, but before I say the answer officially, so let's look into the screenshot that I have put here. So there is one highlighted sentence you can see in this particular screenshot where it is said that the saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down starch, which is a complex molecule, to give simple sugar. Okay, so if you read this particular statement, you will be getting an understanding that, okay, starch is there. So in order to convert starch into simple sugar, in order to convert starch into simple sugar, you have to have an enzyme that is called salivary amylase. Salivary amylase. And this salivary amylase is present in our saliva. Right? The salivary amylase, it's an enzyme that is present in our saliva. Okay. So this is the understanding that we will be getting from this particular statement from your textbook. Right? In this chapter, you will be getting this understanding. But when you look into the question, what is it saying? Secretion of less saliva in mouth. Nowhere in this particular chapter you can see this statement, secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of what. But if you understand this particular concept that is given from this chapter, you'll be easily tackling this particular question, right? So we know that starch can only be converted into simple sugar with the help of salivary amylase enzyme that is present in saliva. So what happens if our mouth produce less quantity, less amount of saliva? It affects this conversion, right? It affects this conversion. It's that easy as that. So secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of what? It affects the conversion of starch into simple sugars. So option C will be our answer. So from this question, you there is a takeaway. There is a takeaway. What is that? Conceptual clarity is important. So if you understand the concepts very well, any questions can be easily answered. From your reader, from this particular portion, you can understand the concept that this conversion is happening with the help of salivary amylase in saliva. So if anyone is asking you, so if that's the case, what happens if saliva is less in our mouth? That will affect this particular conversion. As simple as that. So that's the key point. So this is a type of conceptual question. It's not that it's directly taken from the textbook, but here the question maker, the person who made this question, has given some modification into this particular sentence in your reader or textbook. Right. So the answer is option C. Let's move on to the next question. The plant hormone whose concentration stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light, is. So I have told you first, when you read this question, you have to have in your mind, okay, from which chapter this particular portion belongs to. So from which chapter? It's control and coordination. Chapter 6, control and coordination. And you can see a screenshot that I have given here with a highlighted sentence which states that the concentration of auxin, the concentration of auxin stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light. So, is there any deja vu hitting you? You can see the same sentence in this particular statement has been taken here also. Okay, the plant hormone whose concentration stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light. Same, ditto, similar, or not similar, same to same words you can see here, right? So that's direct questions. So sometimes board can ask you direct question from the textbook, that same to same word, from that same to same word your board can ask you questions. So here from this reader you understood that concentration of auxin is responsible for the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from the light, so that's given in the reader itself, right? So, what will be our answer? So, in this question, it's asking which hormone is responsible for that particular phenomenon. And the answer is option D, auxins. So, we have only discussed two questions so far. And I hope you understand the importance of reading, understanding, and revising the concepts that are given in your textbook. It's very important. Okay, it's very important. Next question, question number 10 in that particular question paper, set 1. The correct or true statements for a bisexual flower is or are. First, think about the chapter. Which chapter? Chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce? Right. Let's go through the 4 statements that are given here. Okay, first question, first statement that is given under this question is, they possess both stamen and pistil. So bisexual flower, bisexual flower. Bisexual means, bi means two. So here bisexual means something having two reproductive organs, right? Female and male, both female and male, right? So here the first statement, they possess both stamen and pistil. So when you look into this particular screenshot, you can see the statement. Bisexual, example, hibiscus, mustard and all, when it contains both stamens and pistil. So from this statement itself, it's understood that bisexual flowers possess both stamen and pistil. So option 1, not option 1, this first statement is correct. This first statement is correct. So since the first statement is correct, there is a chance that, so you can eliminate this option B already because it doesn't have the option 1 in it, the statement 1 in it. So the answer can either be A, C or D. Right. Then they possess either stamen or pistil. If statement 1 is correct, then option 2, not option 2, sorry, statement 2 will already be a wrong statement, right? Because we know that bisexual flowers has got both stamen and pistil. If it has got both stamen and pistil, this statement 2 will be a wrong statement. That's for sure, right? So that's not mentioned in the options also, right? Okay. Then third statement, they exhibit either self-pollination or cross-pollination. Is it true? Because since that particular flower, bisexual flower has got both the male and female organs, it can either have self-pollination, it can either have cross-pollination. That means either. What is the meaning of either? Either self-pollination or cross-pollination. Okay, there is only one chance. That's the whole thing or whole meaning of this particular statement. Okay, so either self-pollination can have or it can have cross-pollination. Is it true? It's true, right? It's true because since this type of flowers have got both these organs together, it can exhibit either self-pollination by pollinating itself, or it can pollinate through with the help of other flowers, that is cross pollination. So 3 is correct, 1 is correct, option C will be our answer. But let's look into the fourth statement, they cannot produce fruits on their own. Is it true? No. After fertilization, the ovary will be gradually changing into fruit. That is the case of most of the plants. So, bisexual flowers cannot produce fruits on their own. That's a wrong statement. So, the correct statements are statement 1 and 3, and that is in option C. So, option C will be our answer. And with respect to these two statements, or these two screenshots that I have mentioned here, it's very easy for you to tackle this type of question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So this question is an interesting one because nowhere in the chapter heredity, so this question is asked from the chapter heredity, and nowhere in this chapter heredity you can see the mentioning of this particular type of question in words. In words, literal words, there is no mentioning. But if you are a person who are fond of going through the diagrams, the pictures that are given in your textbook, okay, you will be able to easily tackle this question. So this is a diagram based question. This question has been developed with respect to this particular diagram that have been given in this chapter 8 heredity. So let's go through this particular question. So if pea plants with round and green seeds are crossed with pea plants having wrinkled and yellow seeds, the seeds developed by the plants of F1 generation will be. Okay, so a pea plant, okay, a pea plant that is having round and yellow seeds. So here round is the dominant trait, round that is the shape of the seed, green that is the color of the seed. Okay, so round is the dominant trait, green color is the recessive trait, right? Then comes a pea plant that is having wrinkled shape seeds with yellow colored. So here yellow color is the dominant trait with respect to color, wrinkled is the recessive trait with respect to shape of the seed. Okay, so when you look into this picture, you can see this in your reader itself. So it's given here round green, round green and wrinkled yellow. And we have studied that in this chapter, we have studied that dominant trait is the one that exhibits in the end, right? That is, if we take the shapes of seeds as round and wrinkled, round being the dominant trait, at the end of the day, if that particular organism has got this round factor in it or round allele in it, it will exhibit that particular trait, right? So here you can see r factor, r factor as in round, that capital R factor you can take from here, small y you can take from here, will form a gamete. Smaller y, they will form a gamete, right? And when they are fused together, okay, what will happen to the progeny F1 generation? What will happen? You will be getting as capital R, small r, capital Y, small y, capital Y, small y. So the characters exhibited by F1 generation here will be round and yellow, right? Round and yellow. So that is given here. F1 generation is round. The shape is round because round is the dominant trait. And yellow colored it is because yellow is the dominant trait here. So round and yellow F1 generation can be arise from this particular fusion between round green and wrinkled yellow seeds, right? So our question is, if pea plants with round and green seeds are crossed with pea plants having wrinkled and yellow seeds, the seeds developed by the plants of F1 generation will be 50% round and green, 75% wrinkled and green, 100% round and yellow, and 75% wrinkled and yellow. So what can you say? So by doing this or by drawing this particular thing, we will be understanding that in the F1 generation, if we are crossing round green seeds with wrinkled yellow seed plant, so here I am mentioning the pea plant, round green pea plant with wrinkled yellow pea plant, pea plant, seeds pea plant, you will be able to understand that you will be getting 100 percentage of round yellow, 100 percentage of round yellow. There is no such thing as round green or wrinkled yellow. There will be 100 percentage of round yellow that will be formed in the F1 generation, right? F1 generation. So what will be your answer? Option C, 100 percentage round and yellow. So from this question, you have to understand that diagrams from your textbooks also play a major role while preparing the board questions, right? So you have to go through these diagrams very seriously. Okay, so from this particular diagram that is given in your textbook itself, your examiner has asked you this particular question. Okay, so let's go through the next question. The breakdown of glucose has taken the following pathway. Hi guys, I am Hannah Susan Thomas. So today we are going to discuss the biology questions that have been asked in 2025 CBSE 10 board exam. So before we move on to our discussion of question paper, let's go through the syllabus that are mentioned under the subject biology. So as you all know, there are total 5 chapters in your syllabus. And these 5 chapters are divided into 2 units. Unit 1, World of Living. Under Unit 1, you can see there are 4 chapters. Chapter 5, Life Processes. Chapter 6, control and coordination. Chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce? And chapter 8, heredity. So these are the four chapters that are given under the unit world of living. And there is one more chapter named our environment. So that's in chapter 13. And this chapter comes under the unit called natural resources. So basically, there are five chapters, and all these chapters are equally important in your exam. Okay, you have to study all these chapters thoroughly without. Hi guys, I am Hannah Susan Thomas. So today we are going to discuss the biology questions that have been asked in your 2025 CBSE 10th board exam. Okay, so before we start our discussion, let's look into the biology syllabus. So which all chapters are mentioned in your syllabus? Let's go through that. So if you all know, there are five chapters you have to study for your 10th board exam, 10th board biology exam. Okay, so these five chapters are divided into two units. First unit is world of living, and under world of living there are four chapters. Chapter 5, life processes. Chapter 6, control and coordination. Chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce. And chapter 8, heredity. And there comes the second unit called natural resources. There you can see only one chapter, that is chapter 13, our environment. So all these five chapters are equally important for your exam. You have to have a conceptual clarity, a clear and cut base with regards to all these chapters. Then only you will be able to solve all the questions that are asked in your biology exam. That comes under science only. Okay. So without any delay, let's move on to our question paper discussion. So today we will be majorly focusing on biology questions that are given under set number 1. So subject science, question paper code 3111. So this is the question paper that we are going to discuss today. So from this question paper, we are basically focusing on to biology questions. Okay. So, as you can see in this slide, I have given three screenshots and the chapter name. So, the first screenshot you can see is the question. Okay, question. Under the question, you can see a screenshot of the answers that are given in the official answer key of CBSE board. Okay, it's the answer key that is officially released by CBSE. And then in the right hand side, you can see the name of the chapter from which this question has been taken. And under this chapter name, you will be seeing a screenshot having some highlighted statements. And this screenshot is nothing but the screenshot from your textbook. So I have taken screenshots from the 10th science textbook, from where all these questions have been directly or indirectly asked. Okay, so that means reading, revising all these things from your textbook is important. It's very, very important. Okay, so let's start with the first question that has been asked in the set 1 of your science question paper. So secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. So before we discuss this particular question, one more thing I have to mention is that there are five types of questions that are asked in your science question paper as in whole. So be it physics, chemistry or biology, these five type of questions have been asked in your science exam. Okay. There are 1 mark questions, 2 mark questions, 3, 4, and 5 mark questions. Okay. And under 1 mark questions, you can see MCQs or multiple choice questions along with assertion and reason questions. All these two categories come under 1 mark question only. So first we are going to have an analysis or discussion on multiple choice question. Then we will be moving on to assertion and reason question. There I'll be giving you easy way how you can easily tackle those types of question. Okay, I'll be giving you at that point of time. So now let's look on to MCQs, multiple choice question. So in this particular set number 1, the biology question, in this particular set here you can see the number code 3111. Biology questions starts from question number 8. Okay, so the first question is, secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. So what happens if less saliva is secreted in our mouth? What will be the effect? Which conversion will be affected by less secretion of saliva in our mouth? That's the question that is being asked here. So when you look into this particular screenshot that I have put here, you can see that there is a there is a highlighted statement you can see here. The saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down starch, which is a complex molecule, to give simple sugar. Right. So from this particular statement, what you can understand is that saliva is there. Saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. And this salivary amylase is necessary for the breakdown of starch into simple sugars. Right. So starch can be easily break down into simple sugars with the help of an enzyme called salivary amylase, and this salivary amylase is present in saliva. That is the understanding that you can get from this statement that is given in your textbook, right? And in your question, when you look into the question, it is given as secretion of less saliva will cause the conversion. How will this less secretion of saliva will be affecting the conversion? That is the question asked. And you can see there is no such mentioning, direct mentioning in this particular screenshot also. So what you can deduct or what you can understand from this particular type of question is that board can ask you direct but not so direct questions in your exam. That is, these questions are direct only because you know that saliva has got enzyme called salivary amylase. This will help in the conversion of starch into simple sugars. That you will be easily understanding from your textbook. But nowhere in your reader or nowhere in your textbook it's given as secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of. So it's not a direct as such, but it's direct. Okay, are you getting my point? It's not direct as such, but it's somehow direct because the conversion is given in your textbook, right? So from the conversion, you understood this concept. So what will happen? What will happen if less saliva is produced in our mouth? If less saliva is produced in our mouth, that means less enzyme is produced in our mouth. Less salivary amylase is produced in our mouth. So if less salivary amylase is produced in our mouth, then it will affect the conversion of starch into simple sugars. That's it. So secretion of less saliva in mouth will affect the conversion of starch into simple sugar. So our answer will be option C. Right. So it's given in your textbook, but somehow indirectly. If you understand this concept, then you can easily tackle this particular question. Right. So let's move on to second question. So second question, it has been taken from the chapter Control and Coordination, as you can see from the slide itself. So whenever you read a question, you have to think, okay, in which chapter this particular question belongs to. You have to properly fix that. If you properly fix that question under the chapter you have studied, then it will be easy for you to recollect all those information, right? So let's read this question once again. So the plant hormone whose concentration stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from the light, is. Okay. So basically this question belongs to which chapter? Chapter 6, Control and Coordination, right? So if you understand this particular, or if you have that knack of understanding or realizing from which chapter these questions have been asked, it's simple as that. You'll be simply, or you'll be easily tackling all these questions, right? So when you look into this screenshot, what you can see, so let's read it together, right? This concentration of auxin stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light. Is there any deja vu feeling? Because the same sentence is asked in this question, right? The same sentence is asked in this question. Same sentence given in your textbook under chapter 6, Control and Coordination, is given in this question. So, what is the statement that is given in your textbook? It's concentration of auxin stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light. Literally, the statement is given here, but the name of the hormone is not given. That's the answer. Okay, so the plant hormone whose concentration stimulates the cells to grow longer on the side of the shoot, which is away from light, and that is option D, auxin. So this question is an example for literal direct question or literal direct statement that have been taken from your textbook. So it's very important for you to read thoroughly, right? You have to read and revise your textbook thoroughly. Okay, it's very important, and I urge you to do that, because if you give your give most of your time reading and understanding and revising and studying all these concepts from your textbook itself, you won't be you won't need any guide also. Your guide, your textbook, all is your textbook that is given by CBSE board. And if you correctly study that in a smart way, okay, smart work plus hard work gives you result. So if you smartly study all those concepts along with diagrams, along with the activities tables and all given in your textbook, it will be a cakewalk for you. You can easily tackle the exam. Okay, so from these two questions itself, so far we have covered two questions. From these two questions itself, you understood the importance of your textbook, right? Don't go for other guides and all. Go for your textbook, right? Then, next question. The correct or true statement or statements for a bisexual flower is. So, first, think about which chapter, from which chapter this question belongs to. So, this question belongs to this chapter, How Do Organisms Reproduce? And I have given you some screenshot from where you can tackle this question easily. Or, in other words, you can see that these questions are all mentioned directly or indirectly in your textbook. So, first statement under this question is they possess both stamen and pistil. So, bisexual flower. What do you mean by bisexual? Bi means two. Okay. Bisexual means something that has got two reproductive organs. So bisexual flower means a flower that has got two reproductive organs, both male and female. So We know that stamens and pistils, they both belong to female and male reproductive system, right? So the correct or true statements for a bisexual flower is or are. The first statement is they possess both stamen and pistil. It's correct. It's directly given in your reader also. Bisexual, example hibiscus, mustard, etc. when it contains both stamens and pistil. Right. So they possess both stamen and pistil. First statement is correct. If first statement is correct, then you can say that option B you can eliminate. So either A, C, or D. Any of these any of these statements can be correct, but you have to go through the rest of the statements. They possess either stamen or pistil. It's wrong. It's related to unisexual flowers, right? Because from this screenshot itself, you understand that you can understand that unisexual flowers contains either stamens or pistil. Right. So they possess either stamen or pistil. It's related to unisexual flower. So it's not the correct statement. You can eliminate that. Third question. Bisexual flower, they can exhibit either self-pollination or cross-pollination. Is it true? Yes, it's true. Because since bisexual flowers have got both these organs, okay, both these reproductive organs inside itself, they can undergo self-pollination, or with respect to pollinators or pollination agents, okay, they can conduct or they can exhibit cross-pollination also. So third statement is correct. So that makes option C our answer, right? 1 and 3. Let's go through the fourth statement also. Simply, if you got the in your exam, if you get the answer, just go through the next questions. Do not waste your time. But for now, let's go through the fourth statement. They cannot produce fruits on their own. That's a, you know, that's an incorrect statement, right? Because after fertilization, be it unisexual or bisexual, ovary will gradually develop into fruit, that we know. So bisexual flower cannot produce fruits on their own. It's a wrong statement. Right, it's a wrong statement. So our correct answer is option C, 1 and 3. Then comes next question. So this question is an interesting one. This question has taken from the chapter Heredity, and nowhere in this chapter you can see this statement as such, directly or indirectly. As such, you cannot see any paragraphs mentioning this particular statement. But there is a catch. As you can see this screenshot here, this is a screenshot from this chapter Heredity itself. And believe me or not, from this diagram only, your examiner has made this particular question, right? From this particular diagram. So let's look into this question, then we can go through the answer. So if pea plants with round and green seeds are crossed with pea plants having wrinkled and yellow seeds, the seeds developed by the plants of F1 generation will be. Okay, so what you can see here is that a pea plant that has got round and green seeds. So round is a character that is related to shape of the seed, green being the color of the seed. Green being the color of the seed. While the next pea plant, when you take the second pea plant, it have got it has got wrinkled and yellow seeds. Wrinkled being the shape of the seed, yellow being the color of the seed. Here you can see round and green seeds represented by capital R, small y, small y. What does this mean? So round is the dominant trait. Round is the dominant trait, while with regards to the color of the seeds, green is the recessive trait. Recessive trait. Dominant and recessive. Dominant traits will express, recessive trait it will suppress under dominant trait. That's the whole point. So capital R, small y, round green. Then comes small r, which represents wrinkle character. That's the recessive trait. And capital Y, that represents the dominant color of pea plant seed. Okay. The same thing you can see in this particular diagram. So when crossing round green seed with wrinkled yellow seed, the gametes will be having round green, round green gamete. Here wrinkled yellow gamete. So when these two plants are crossed together, we will be getting F1 generation. And what is the character or peculiarity of this F1 generation? This F1 generation will be exhibiting round and yellow, right? Round and yellow. Capital R, capital Y, small y. Because you know that round in case of shape of the seed is the dominant trait. Yellow in case of color of the seed is the dominant trait in case of the color. So before I have told you that this dominant trait express, right? If there is any dominant trait present, it will be the one that express more and it will suppress the recessive type, right? So here round and yellow are the characters that are exhibited by F1 generation. So the question here asked is, the seeds developed by crossing these two types, round green and wrinkled yellow seeds, the seeds developed by plants of F1 generation will be options: 50% round and green, 70% wrinkled and green, 100% round and yellow, 75% wrinkled and yellow. Now only I have told you that in both these parents, round green and wrinkled yellow, both of them have one dominant trait each. First parent have a round dominance, that is the the shape of the seed is round, that is the dominant trait here. The second parent have got wrinkled yellow, where the dominant part is the yellow color, which is the dominant trait here. So since both these parents have got dominant traits each with respect to different characteristics, one is shape and one is color, when both of them are crossed together, the first generation obtained will be also having both the dominant traits together, right? Both the dominant traits together. All F1 generation will be having this particular dominant traits expressed in itself. Okay, expressed itself. So our answer will be 100% round and yellow. There is no wrinkled and yellow. There is no wrinkled and green. There is no round and green in case of F1 generation. This is the diagram that is given in your textbook. From this textbook, you can easily, from this part of the textbook, from this diagram itself, you can easily come into the answer. Okay, so the correct answer will be option C, 100% round and yellow. So let's move on to the next question. So the breakdown of glucose has taken the following pathway. So glucose converting into pyruvate and energy. Then it's converting into lactic acid and energy. So there in this particular question, you can see the mentioning of letters A and B, right? And These A and B are nothing but sites where these conversions took place. So you have to mark the correct sites A and B where this breakdown of glucose into pyruvate and energy, that ultimately into lactic acid and energy taking place. So this question belongs to which chapter? Chapter 5, life processes. Here also there is a flow chart given in your textbook where you can see glucose in cytoplasm will convert into pyruvate and energy, right? So site A will be what? Cytoplasm. So inside cytoplasm, conversion of glucose into pyruvate and energy takes place. So as you can see, option A consists of mitochondria, so it's indeed the wrong option. But the rest of the three options, they have got cytoplasm in it. So there is no chance of us to eliminate at this point of time. Next come pyruvate and energy. In which site it is converting into lactic acid and energy. So as you can see, glucose inside cytoplasm converts into pyruvate and energy. There is no problem with that. But there is a catch here. This pyruvate can convert into many products with the presence of oxygen, with the absence of oxygen. So there is many criteria, and under these criteria pyruvate can be converted into many products. That's one catch. But here in your question itself, it's asking you pyruvate and energy converting into lactic acid plus energy. Lactic acid, pyruvate converting into lactic acid, and it only happens under lack of oxygen. Under lack of oxygen in our muscle cells. In our muscle cells. So if our muscles are experiencing lack of oxygen, then only pyruvate, which is a product of conversion of glucose, can be converted into lactic acid. So what is your answer? What is our answer? Cytoplasm and oxygen deficient muscle cells. Option D will be our answer. So I'm repeating myself, I know that, but I'm helpless because I have to say this again and again. That is, it's important for you to go through and understand all these diagrams, activities, flow charts, everything that are given under your textbook. Okay, so let's move on to 15. Question number 15, which is again, it's also an MCQ question. Sorry, MCQ question. So, which of the following groups do not constitute a food chain? Do not constitute a food chain. And there are some options given here. Okay, you have to go through each and every organisms, and you have to link every organisms which will form a food chain. That's your main focus in this question. And as you can see, this question has been taken from the chapter 13R environment. And here you can see an image. There you can see an image where you can see a network of organisms linking each other, right? So you can see that the first set of option, okay, first set of option: wolf, rabbit, grass, lion. Wolf, rabbit, grass, lion. So you have to focus one thing. You have to look into the following groups that do not constitute a food chain. So when you look into first option, you can see, okay, grass, it's eaten by rabbit. Rabbit, it's eaten by wolf. Wolf, it's eaten by lion, because lion tiger, they are all apex consumers. They are the top, right? Apex consumers. So you can see from here also, grass, rabbit, wolf. Here it's given as tiger, lion and all. It's true only because lion and tiger, they are examples of apex carnivores or apex consumers. Okay, so this one constitutes a food chain, but it cannot be our answer. So first one won't be our answer. It's a food chain. It's an example for food chain for sure, but we have to find which of the following groups do not constitute a food chain, right? So first one with regards to this question is a wrong option. So you can eliminate option A and option B because first one cannot be our answer. Right? It cannot be our answer. Second one, plankton, man, grasshopper, fish. So plankton, it's present in water bodies, right? So plankton, it's eaten by fish. Fish, it's eaten by man. But we cannot keep, or there is no chance we can keep grasshopper anywhere in this particular food chain. So 2 is one of our answer. Okay, here also you can see plankton, fish. Fish is consumed by birds or any other animals. But here we cannot keep grasshopper anywhere in this particular option. So it does not constitute a food chain. Okay, third one, hawk, grass, snake, grasshopper, frog. So grass eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper eaten by frog, frog eaten by snake, snake eaten by hawk. You can also see here grass, so just assume that it's a grasshopper, grasshopper, frog, snake, hawk. Okay, so this third option also constitute a food chain. Okay, it also constitute a food chain. So third one cannot be our answer. So if you eliminate option C, you will be getting into option D. That is our correct answer. So grass, snake, wolf and tiger. We cannot make a sense out of this particular option also. Grass is eaten by snake, wolf or tiger? No, right? So it also do not constitute an food chain. So our answer will be option D, 2 and 4. Okay. Then comes question number 16. Solar energy which is not converted into food energy by the leaves of green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem is about. So here it's also a direct but indirect question. You can say that. It's direct but indirect question. So this question has taken from the chapter 13 or environment. Okay. So here you can see a screenshot where you can read this statement as the green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem capture about 1% of the energy of sunlight that falls on their leaves and convert it into food energy. What does this mean? So we know that from sun only our plants take energy in order for the preparation of their food, right? The statement here means that the green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem, land ecosystem, capture only about 1% of the energy of sunlight that falls on their leaves. Right? So let's assume that this sun is giving us 100% of solar energy. 100% of solar energy. But from this 100% of solar energy, only 1% of solar energy is utilized by the terrestrial green plants. terrestrial green plants. That means rest of the 99 percentage of solar energy are wasted, right? Are wasted. Now look into the question. The percentage of solar energy which is not converted into food energy by the leaves of green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem. What will be your answer? Only 1% from the solar energy is utilized by the plants to prepare their food. That means that solar energy is converted into food energy by the leaves of the green plants in terrestrial ecosystem. The rest of the 99 percentage it's lost, right? So what will be your answer? The percentage of solar energy which is not converted will be 99 percentage, because out of 100 percentage of solar energy which the plants are getting, they only utilize 1 percentage out of it. The rest are being lost or they are wasted. So the answer will be 99 percentage. Option D will be our answer. Option D will be our answer. Then comes our assertion and reason. Right, assertion and reason. So under assertion and reason, there are four types of options that you can see. First option is assertion, both assertion A and reason are true, but and assertion, sorry, both assertion A and reason R are true, and reason R is the correct explanation of assertion A. That's the first option. Second one, both assertion A and reason R are true, but reason R is not correctly explaining assertion A. Third one, assertion A is true, but reason R is false. Option D, assertion A is false, but reason R is true. These are the four options that you can see under assertion and reason based question, that is also coming under 1 mark question. So these questions also carry 1 mark, but it's also very important. Okay. So the easy way to tackle these kinds of question, assertion and reason question is, so let's look. So first, okay, first you have to do is that let's take each statements that comes under assertion and reason respectively as individual statements. Let's check each questions are true or false. So let's look into that. So this particular assertion reason question has taken from the chapter 8 heredity. So let's read. The assertion is given like this: a human child bears all the basic features of human beings. It's true, right? A human child will be possessing all the features of a human being. It will not show any other features as of tiger, lion, monkey, donkey, or something like that, right? A human child will bear all the basic features of human beings. So I understood that this statement that has been given under assertion is true. But what about reason R? Let's look into that. So first step is to taking these two statements individually. Do not combine them right now. Just take all these statements individually and try to look into or try to make sense out of it. Okay, so first one is true. I understood that. Second one, it looks exactly like its parents, showing very little variation. Okay, if this reason is correct, then everyone will be looking 99 percentage alike as our father or mother, like you can see in Bollywood or any other films, right? Okay, son coming for revenge looks exactly like his father, right? Same pattern. This reason, if this is correct, that is the case, but that's not the case actually, right? So you can see from this screenshot, you can see that what exactly do we mean by similarities and differences. Okay, we know that a child bears all the basic features of a human being. So You got that? This exact statement has been asked in the assertion. Okay. A a human child bears all the basic features of human beings. Literally, same sentence. A child bears all the basic features of a human being. However, it does not look exactly like its parents, and human population show a great deal of variation. So you can say that in majority of the case, that means 99.99 percentage of the case, variations are greater than similarities. Although we all show similar characters as of that of our parents, we are different from our parents, right? We are different from our parents. So this particular screenshot is something like of an introduction towards heredity and variation, right? But your examiner has made or prepared a question from this introductory part itself, right? So it once again gives you the importance of how textbook is very much important for you to tackle down all these questions, right? So it's very important. Literally, same sentence has been asked as assertion and reason. So let's come back to reason. So it looks exactly like its parents, showing very little variations. Is that true? No, right? It's not true. So A is correct, assertion is correct, reason is wrong. So that will be option C. So assertion A is true, but reason R is false. So option C will be our answer. Option C will be our answer. Then comes the next assertion reason question that has taken from chapter 13, our environment. So first, once again, let's look into each and every statement. Let's take each and every statement individually. Then we can proceed to the next stage. So assertion. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. Is that true? Yes, because it's directly given in your textbook itself under our environment chapter. The same sentence has been given in your textbook. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. This statement is true. This statement is true. Okay, so you understood that assertion is correct. What about reason? The oxygen atoms combine with molecular oxygen to form ozone. Is it true? Let's check. You can see a reaction given here, right? So oxygen under ultraviolet rays, it will split into oxygen atoms, right? When one of the oxygen atom combines with oxygen molecules, it will form O3, that is ozone. So the oxygen atoms combining with molecular oxygen to form ozone is a correct statement. It's a correct statement. But there is a catch here. What is it? So I have told you the first step whenever you are solving assertion reason based question, I have told you first thing is first, you have to take these two statements individually. Just look whether these two statements are correct or wrong. Right. If any of these two statements are wrong, then it's very simple. It can be either C or D. If assertion is true, option C will be our answer. If assertion is false, option D will be our answer. What happens if both these statements are true? If both assertion and reason both are true, what happens? Right. So here comes our next thing. Okay. Next step to do in your assertion reason question. So if you understand that both these statements are true, then you have to assume assertion as a question. You have to literally take assertion as a question and just take reason as its respective answer. So assertion assumed as question, reason assumed as answer, right? So let's ask us ourselves the question. The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. Why? What is the reason? The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. Why? It's the question that we have formulated from assertion. And I have told you, if assertion is assumed as question, you have to assume reason as its answer. So just look into reason, and if reason makes sense with respect to assertion, then our answer will be A. But if reason is not making any sense with respect to assertion as a question, then it's false. False as in it will be option B. Right? Both these statements are true, but they are not, you know, they are not related directly. That's our final answer. That means option B will be our answer. So once again, the amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. Why? Because you have to start it with because the oxygen atoms combine with molecular oxygen to form ozone. Does this statement make sense? Does this statement means any sense? Makes any sense? Because the amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s because oxygen atoms combined with molecular oxygen to form ozone. No, this is basically because of the presence of chlorofluorocarbons, right? CFCs. So that means reason, although it's true, it's not directly linked with assertion statement. So our answer will be option B. Both assertion A and reason R are true, but reason R is not the correct explanation of assertion A. So I hope you understood this particular assertion reason question. So this is how you have to tackle each and every assertion reason question. Okay. So here also, this is also an assertion reason based, this was also an assertion reason based question, but this one was very easy because one of the statement got wrong. Okay. So we have completed with 1 mark question. Now we are moving on to 2 mark question. Okay. So 22nd question from your set 1. Draw label diagrams to show different stages of budding in hydra. So first thing is first thing first, we have to place this question with respect to the chapter that you have studied. So this question is from chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce? And this answer key, official answer key given by CBSE, it has included a diagram that is ditto given in your textbook. Okay, so here just draw the budding stages of hydra, and for drawing you will be getting 1 mark, you will be awarded with 1 mark. For labeling, okay, so here you have to label the bud here, here you have to label tentacles. Okay, so by labeling tentacles and bud and all, you will be getting 1 mark. So by drawing and labeling, you will be awarded with 2 marks. It's a simple question directly given in your textbook. Next question. It's it has got or question also, right? So first one, A part question. Either you can write A part from this 23rd question or B part. It's your choice. But both these questions are taken from chapter 5, life processes. Okay, life processes. So first we can deal with A part question. Besides minimizing the loss of blood, why is it essential to plug any leak in a blood vessel? So that's the first part of this A part question. Okay. Then name the component of blood which helps in this process. That is the second part. And state how this component perform this function. That is the third part. So under 23rd question, A part question, under this A part question that comes under question 23, you will be having three sub questions. You will be having three sub questions, and it is very important for you to know that you have to address all these three parts, or else you won't be getting full 2 marks. You have to address all these three sub parts from A part question. So this question is directly given under the chapter life processes under the topic maintenance by platelets. So besides minimizing the loss of blood, why is it essential to plug any leak in a blood vessel? Because naturally if blood is lost, okay, from our system, what will happen? From our system, what will happen? Our blood pressure will be lowered. Okay, so naturally, the loss of blood from the system has to be minimized. In addition, leakage would lead to a loss of pressure that I have told you right now. So, if we are not controlling the loss of blood from our system, it will lead to low blood pressure. Okay, which would reduce the efficiency of the pumping system or circulatory system as a whole. Okay, so that's a literal thing that is given in this official answer key also. So if you are writing this answer, you will be awarding with 1 mark. Okay, then comes second part. Name the component of blood which helps in this process. Which is the cells or which is responsible for clotting is platelets, right? Platelets. So to avoid this, blood has platelet cells. So platelets is the answer for the second part. Half marks you will be getting by answering this. What about the third part? State how this component perform this function. How platelets helps in clotting. That is the literal meaning of the third part. How it will help? Okay, so to avoid this, the blood has platelet cells which circulate around the body and plug these leaks by helping to clot the blood at these points of injury. So basically, platelets helps to clot the blood at the site of injury. So if you write this answer for the third part, you will be awarding with half marks. So total 1 plus half, 2 marks. Okay, then comes the B part of this particular question. So it has got two subparts. So all these questions come under the chapter life processes. So the transport system in plants is relatively slower than in animals, give reasons. So it's directly given in your reader only. Because we know that plants are immobile, right? They are not mobile as compared to us. They cannot jump, walk, or run like us, right? So they are not that much into movement. That means they only require low energy for their functioning, right? Because in the ninth class, if you are remembering, under tissues, you have studied that plant cells mainly comprises of living cells, and also they have got dead cells also for structural integrity and all, right? So plants, they are not into motion. So plant bodies have large proportion of dead cells in many tissues. As a result, they have low energy requirement compared to animals. So that's you have that thing you have to write. If you write it, you will be rewarded with 1 mark. Okay, what about the second question? State the role of phloem in the transport of materials in plants. So, what basically it means the function of phloem, right? And it is also given in your reader itself. So, the transport of soluble products of photosynthesis. This translocation is done by phloem. Okay, and it also helps in the transportation of amino acids and other substances, right? All along the body. So if you write this, you will be getting 1 mark. So total 2 marks. Okay. So all these things are given in your reader. Next comes 26th question. Excessive use of chemicals and pesticides in agriculture adversely affect the environment. Justify the statement. So this question, I have told you, whenever you read a question, just think where this question belongs to. In which chapter this question belongs to. This question belongs to the chapter 13 R environment. It's also a direct question. So excessive use of chemicals and pesticides in agriculture adversely affect the environment. So we know that mainly in agriculture, when we use excess amount of chemicals and pesticides, it leads to soil and water pollution, right? It lead to soil and water pollution, and these chemicals are either washed down into the soil or into the water bodies, meaning it will lead to soil or water pollution. And from the soil they are absorbed by the plants along with water and minerals, and from the water bodies they are taken up by aquatic plants and aquatic animals, right? And that means they have been literally entered into our food chain or food web as a whole, right? And these chemicals, they are non biodegradable substances. That means it takes more and more amount, it is very difficult for these substances to degrade naturally. It will take lots and lots and lots and lots of time, right? So that's the main thing. So polluting or using excessive amounts of chemicals and pesticides in agriculture lead to water and soil pollution. And if it causes soil pollution, it will be directly taken up by plants. These plants are eaten up by herbivores, carnivores, and literally it will affect us also, right? Then if we are eating products from these plants, these waste materials or these poisonous substances from these chemicals and pesticides will enter into our body also. So basically, or you can say, in one word you can say is that this particular action of excessive use of chemicals and pesticides in agriculture will directly related to the adverse effect in food chain. So this has given in this official answer key also. So chemicals or pesticides used by farmers get washed down into this literally same sentence. Okay, these chemicals are mostly non-biodegradable and accumulated progressively at each trophic level, which we call it as biological magnification. And thus, when it comes inside food chain, then that means all those organisms that are involved in food chain will get some amount of these chemicals in inside them. Okay, and that will deteriorate their health. Okay, so if you write this answer beautifully, okay, you will be rewarded with 2 marks. So next come our 3-mark question. Okay, so plants have neither a nervous system nor muscles. Even then they respond to stimuli. For example, the leaves of chewy mui or touch me not plant, when touched, begin to fold up and drop. So this question is taken from chapter 6, control and coordination. Okay, so you can see that. So this is the picture that is given in your textbook, chewy mui or touch me not plant. So here, from this information, 3 sub questions have been asked. First one is, how is the information communicated in touch me not plants? Because touch me not plants or plants have do not have any nervous system or muscles, right? But they will respond to stimuli. Like us, they will respond to stimuli. And what is the reason behind that? Okay, so that's the main thing. So how is the information communicated in touch me not plants? So it's through electrical. Okay, electrical chemical means. So this is given in this particular paragraph. Okay, it's given in this particular paragraph. So plant is touched. Okay. So information that has plant touched must be communicated. The plants also use electrical or chemical means to convey this information from cell to cell. That's our first answer. Okay. Next one. What enables the plant cells to bring out the observable response? It's due to the change in the amount of water. So it is also given here. So you can see here, plant cells change shape by changing the amount of water in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking and therefore in changing shapes. So that's the answer for our B part question under question 29. So if you write the answer for A part, you will be awarded with 1 mark. For B part also, you will be awarded with 1 mark. So differentiate the movement mentioned above from the movement of tendrils of a pea plant. So I have I haven't included the screenshot. Sorry, by mistake. So here you have to differentiate or compare the movement with respect to touch me not with respect to movement of tendrils in a pea plant. So you have to write 4 points where each point will be awarded with half marks each. So that makes this whole C part question with 1 mark. So with respect to touch me not and pea plant. So movement in touch me not plant and movement of tendrils in pea plant. Okay. So it is growth independent. The movement of touch me touch me not plant is related to growth independent, but with respect to pea plant, movement is growth dependent. It's dependent to growth, but in case of touch me not plant, it's growth independent. It's not dependent on growth. It does not take place in the direction of stimulus, and here it takes place in the direction of stimulus. Okay, then it is also called as nastic movement in case of touch me not. In case of pea plant, it's also called as tropic movement. Okay, tropic movement. So by listing out all these differences between the movement of touch me not and pea plant, you will be awarded with 1 mark. Okay, so let's move on to 30th question. What are chromosomes? Explain in brief how stability of DNA content of a species is ensured in sexually reproducing organisms. So this question is taken from chapter 8, heredity. So what do you mean by chromosomes? So chromosomes, they carry genes which control the traits of an organisms, or you can say chromosomes contain information for inheritance of features from parents to next generation in the form of DNA. It's given here. Okay, not in literal words, but you can rearrange with respect to your own words and you can define chromosomes. Basically, chromosomes, they carry genes. Genes are the one that control traits of an organism, or they have got information for inheritance that from parents to their offsprings are transferred. Okay. Then comes the B part question. So if you are writing this, you will be getting 1 mark. B part question, explain in brief how stability of DNA content of a species is ensured in sexually reproducing organisms. So this is directly given in your reader or textbook. What is it? So we have to explain in brief how stability of DNA content of a species is ensured in sexually reproducing organisms. It's simple because we know that we have got 46 chromosomes, right? 46 chromosomes. That means 23 pairs of chromosomes we have. In human beings, 23 pairs of chromosomes are there. And we know that during reproduction, sexual reproduction, what happens is that both male and female gametes are fused, right? Fused. But in the normal case, what will happen? We will be thinking like, okay, one cell has got 23 pairs of chromosomes, another cell has got 23 pairs of chromosomes. If it, fuse together, it will be having 46 pairs for, listen carefully, 46 pairs of chromosomes. 46 pairs means how many chromosomes in number? It's 92, right? It's 92 chromosomes. So if an organisms are having 96 chromosomes per cell, it won't be human being, right? It's not stabilized. It's not a human being. But there is some kind of stabilization or stability process happening during this fertilization, or before that also, you can say. And that is related to our sex organs, right? Ovum or egg and sperm, because these are our gametes or sex cells. And we know that sex cells only have got half the number of chromosomes in it. So that's why if these gametes or sex cells having half the number of chromosomes fused together, it will be forming normal 23 pairs of chromosomes or 46 chromosomes in number. Okay, so you can see here, each cell will have two copies of each chromosome, one each from the male and female parents. Every germ cell will take one chromosome from each pair, and these may be of either maternal or paternal origin. When two germ cells combine, they will restore the normal number of chromosomes. So 23 chromosomes from egg fused with 23 chromosomes present in sperm will be forming an organisms having 46 chromosomes in each cells, right? So if you are writing it, okay, if you are explaining it beautifully, you will be awarded with 2 marks for B part question. That makes this question 3 marks. Okay, so what about this 35th question? Yeah, it's 35th, right? Yeah, 35th question. So 35th question comprises of 5 mark question. 35th question comprises of 5 mark question, and this question is from chapter 7, how do organisms reproduce? How do organisms reproduce? So first question, so this is a or part question. Okay, you can either write A part or you can write B part. Okay, any of the question you choose, it comprises of 5 marks only. So first question, write the functions of the following parts of human female reproductive system. Okay, so you have to write the functions of ovary, fallopian tube and uterus. Okay, and ovary, we know that ovaries are responsible for producing egg every month, right? So produces female gamete, and here it's also mentioned about the production of female hormones called estrogen. Okay, then comes fallopian tube. So fallopian tube is the site where fertilization takes place. Fusion of egg and sperm takes place. Okay, it's given here. So oviduct is nothing but fallopian tube only, right? Then comes uterus. Okay, so uterus is the site or place where the zygote gets implanted and further embryonic development takes place. So this is also given here. So if you are writing all these functions properly, you will be awarded with 3 marks for the A part question here, for the first set of A part question. Second set under A part question is state briefly 2 contraceptive methods used by human males. So human males it is asked. Okay, so human males it is asked. So first one is mechanical barrier. So by using mechanical barrier, you can prevent unwanted pregnancies. So condoms are examples of mechanical barrier. So condoms on the penis or similar coverings wound in the vagina can serve this purpose. So this statement includes both about male and female, but you have to only focus on males. Condoms on the penis. Okay, so that is an example for mechanical barrier. You have to give two contraceptive methods. Okay, so first contraceptive methods being mechanical barrier. Second contraceptive method is surgical method. So vasectomy, where pause difference in males are blocked up. Okay, so surgical methods can be used to create such blocks. So you can see if the vas difference in the male is blocked, sperm transfer will be prevented. This is also mentioned in your reader. Okay, so if you write these two contraceptive methods, you will be rewarded with 2. Altogether, you will be getting 5 marks. Then comes or part. It's also coming under the chapter how do organisms reproduce. So the first part in B part is differentiate between self-pollination and cross-pollination. You have to differentiate between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Give 2 differences, you will be getting 2 marks. So a transfer of pollen occurs in same flower, it's self-pollination. If the pollen is transferred from one flower to another, it is known as cross-pollination. And you have to also explain it. In case of self-pollination, pollen grains are transferred from stamen to the stigma. Here, transferred a transfer of pollen grains from stamen of one flower to the stigma of another flower, you have to write. Okay, you can also give another differences also. It's your choice. Then, in case of second part, identify A, B, and C in the diagram given below and write one function of each. Okay, write one function of each. So here you can see A is stigma. So A is stigma. This diagram is directly taken from your reader, figure 7.8. Okay, germination of pollen on stigma. So A is stigma, and what is the function of A here? It receives pollen and provides suitable environment for germination. That's all about A. What about B? So B here, it's pollen tube, right? Pollen tube. It's pollen tube. Okay. And what is the function of pollen tube? It carries male germ cells or it carries gametes to the female gamete situated in the ovary. Okay. Then comes C. C is nothing but female germ cells. So you can see here, female germ cells. And the function of female germ cells is to fuse with male gamete and form zygote. So if you are writing all these 3, if you are identifying it and writing its function correctly, you will be rewarded with 3 marks. This is 2 marks. So 2 plus 3, 5 marks in total. Okay. Then comes our final question with regards to biology under this set number 1. And this question comprises of 4 marks. Okay, 4 marks. And this question has taken from chapter 5, life processes. So let's read the question. The maintenance functions of all living organisms must go on even when they are not doing anything particular. Anything particular. Even when we are just sitting in a class or even asleep, this maintenance job has to go on. So some scenario or one paragraph is given. From that paragraph, you have to identify from which chapter it's been asked and you have to write the answer. Okay. These maintenance processes require energy to prevent damage and breakdown of cells and tissues, which is obtained by the individual organism from the food prepared by the autotrophs or producers. So this is the paragraph given here. So under this paragraph, there are 3 sub questions, and the third sub questions have or questions also. Or questions, you can either choose the first first, third part question or second, third part question. So, A part question, first question under 38th question is name and define the process by which green plants prepare food. It's simple, right? The name is photosynthesis. You will be getting half marks for that, and you have to define that. What is its definition? It's the process by which green plants they capture sunlight and they convert it into chemical energy with the help of chlorophyll, and they will be utilizing sunlight and chlorophyll into making carbohydrates, and these carbohydrates are utilized for providing energy to the plant. Okay, so if you are defining it properly, you will be getting another half marks. That makes this 1 mark question. Then comes write chemical equation involved in the above process. So it's given in this particular screenshot. It's given in your textbook itself. 6CO2 plus 12H2O under chlorophyll, with the help of chlorophyll and sunlight. Okay, will give you glucose C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2O. So if you write this particular equation correctly, you will be awarded with 1 marks. Okay, you will be awarded with 1 marks. Then comes C part question. C part question comprises of all questions. So first C part question is state in proper sequence the events that occur in synthesis of food by desert plants. Okay, so in your textbook there are steps that are happening during photosynthesis, but along with these steps you have to also add one more step, because here you can see, for example, desert plants take up carbon dioxide at night and prepare an intermediate which is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. So you have to include that particular point as the fourth point for this C part question. So first one is during photosynthesis, that is done by desert plants, absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, conversion of light energy to chemical energy and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So in between, desert plants, they take up carbon dioxide at night, okay, and they prepare an intermediate thing or intermediate component which is acted upon by the energy that is absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day, so that they can prepare their food. So you have to include that point also, then only you will be getting 2 marks. Okay, then comes the next C part, the second C part question. So second C part question, it also comes under chapter 5, life processes only. So explain, giving reasons, what happens to the rate at which the green plants will prepare food during cloudy weather, when stomata get blocked due to dust. So this particular thing has not given directly in your reader, but if you understand the concepts very well, if you go through the activities and all, it will be a cakewalk for you to write this answer. Okay, so what happens to the rate of the photosynthesis done by green plants during cloudy weather? That is the first one. So you can see under life processes chapter, there are two activities given. Okay, there are two activities given, and these two activities are important for you to understand the importance of sunlight in photosynthesis process. So sunlight is essential for green plants for doing photosynthesis or conducting photosynthesis. So what happens to the rate at which the green plants will prepare food during cloudy weather? The rate will decrease, right? During a cloudy weather, the sunlight received by green plants is minimal to zero, right? So obviously rate of photosynthesis will decrease due to low amount of sunlight that is caused during that is happening during cloudy weather. Okay, and you can understand with the help of two activities that are given in your textbook under chapter 5 life processes, and I have taken one of the activities here. Okay, and sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. What about the second part? When stomata get blocked due to dust, what will happen to the rate of the food making done by green plants? What will happen? We know that stomata is an opening, or it's a pore through which gaseous exchange takes place, right? And if you know the fact that along with sunlight, plants will take what? Plants will take carbon dioxide also, right? During this process, plants will take carbon dioxide along with sunlight, right? So that means gaseous exchange is very much important, because in order for the plants to prepare their own food, they need or they require carbon dioxide, and intake of carbon dioxide can only happen through these pores called stomata. So when stomata get blocked due to dust, when stomata get blocked due to dust, what will happen? Gaseous exchange won't be happening, right? Gaseous exchange won't be happening. And if gaseous exchange is won't be happening, as in it will be it will be reduced, right? It will be reduced. So if reduced gaseous exchange takes place, what will happen to the rate of photosynthesis? Rate of photosynthesis will also becomes reduced, right? So in both these cases, during cloudy weather, what will happen? Sunlight will not be obtained effectively, or reduced amount of sunlight will be obtained by plants. Also, when stomata get blocked due to dust, sufficient gaseous exchange won't be happening, and both these case we will be observing decreased rate of photosynthesis happening. Okay, so this is also mentioned in your reader. And if you write these two questions, you will be rewarded with 2 marks. And along with the other A part and B part, you will be rewarded or awarded with 4 marks. Okay, so these are the questions that are given under the set 1 of science paper of 2025. So in the next video, we will be dealing with set 2. So similarly, in similar way, we will be doing. So we will be looking into the question, we will be looking into the official answer sheet. Before that, we will be looking into from which chapter the question has been taken, also from which portions inside that chapter you can see the questions, or you can see the answers of this particular questions. Okay, along with the official answer key also. So I hope you understand the importance of analyzing or evaluating the previous year questions, so that you will get a hold on to revision properly, revising properly. So before we wind up our session, two, three things I have to let you know. First thing is, you have to read, revise, study your reader or textbook thoroughly. There is no way. Okay, there is no alternative way. Okay, you can use guide, but there is no need for guide if you have textbook with you. So read, study, and revise, re-revise all those concepts. Also, do not skip activities that are given in these chapters, diagrams that are, so some diagrams that are present at the corners of these chapters, most of the cases we tend to skip these diagrams. But as you know, these diagrams, from these diagrams also your examiner can ask you potential questions. That can be 3 mark, that can be 2 mark, 1 mark. Never mind, you have to focus on to these diagrams, you have to focus on to activities, all those things that are mentioned inside your reader. It's equally important. Also, the introductory part also. Okay, it's also very important. Introduction, don't read it in a, passive way. Just read it in an active way. Understand all those concepts very much. Revise, re-revise. I urge you to understand all these concepts very well. Do not mug up these things. Okay. So in the next video, we'll be dealing with the second set of biology questions that comes under that came under the second set of the science question paper. Okay, guys, thank you. I hope you all loved this session. Okay, thank you.